Hi guys, and welcome back. Last week I finally got a composting toilet, so I'm going to talk about that in this video.
In your purple Toyota, the morning is waking slow and the traffic.
Right, so last week finally, after saving up because they're not cheap, I finally got a Nature's Head composting toilet. I'd done a lot of research because I had plenty of time and looked into the different ones. And well, initially I was going to get an airhead, but I didn't seem to be able to get hold of one because the guy's overseas, and yeah, so I didn't go that way. But my reasoning was that I've for many years just had a portable toilet, little suitcase, and they're not that big, they don't hold that much waste, and they're gross, you know. I was just over it. I've had one actually fall to bits, the slide that you shut when you want to carry it to the dump station, collapsed and fell into the toilet, and I literally had excrement everywhere. And then yeah, had to go and clean it, and I got lots of filthy looks from all the caravanners standing around because there seemed to be just lots of them. Perfect timing, total Murphy's Law. And yeah, it was a heck of a mess I had to clean up because it was in my shower and actually on the jackets that hang next to my shower and on me. And honestly, I had to clean everything about 4 or 5 times to get the odor out. It was disgusting. So I bought another toilet then and carried on, and people said, oh, you should get a black tank. But to me, the whole concept of driving around with a huge tank full of sewage, just, I thought, nah. And if one of those goes wrong, you've got a huge mess. At least the portable toilet was small. I'd hate to think what would happen if you hit something and your 200 litres of sewage came out. That'd be pretty gross. So anyway, so I looked a hummed a hard. I even looked at making my own portable composting toilet with, looked at some YouTube videos with buckets and things. But I thought, well, that's not sealed, and in order to freedom camp in this truck, I need a self-containment certificate. So yeah, the decision was to get one that's sealed and that's likely to be or will be passed by the self-containment officer when I have a new check next year. I'm ready for renewal next year. And another thing was, with my portable toilet, with the new regulations coming out, I was going to have to try and mount that somehow to my fiberglass shower anyway, because they have to now be strapped down and fixed somehow. And yeah, it was like, no time for a change. So yeah, so I was actually at Waihi Beach, which was beautiful, but I was going to leave there anyway because the NZMCA park was having a big opening and it was going to get really, really crowded. And I thought, no. So I was going to leave anyway. So I decided, rather than have the toilet couriered to me, I'd go to Kawerau, where the guy who sells them in New Zealand lives. So I contacted him and said, well, can I come and pick it up myself? And he was like, yeah, sure. We arranged a time. I got there actually at the perfect time. He was very informative, great guy. He runs the website, natureshead.co.nz, or I think it's a New Zealand website anyway, whatever it is. I'll check it out before I upload this. And yeah, he was very informative, told me all the ins and outs of it, and yeah, I paid him, and I actually just drove around the corner behind the bowling club there at Kawerau because there's a freedom camping spot there, and yeah, started drilling and building. And my biggest problem was actually this truck has a deck about that thick of solidly hard, man, that's hardwood. And I had a really crappy cheap hole saw where you put the little blade into this holder thing, and oh man, I've totally killed one of them. They're just unbent itself and flew off. And another one was yeah, struggling, but I managed to get a hole in there in the end. I had to finish it off actually with a spade bit because I just couldn't get right through it. And so it's not the tidiest thing, but it's got a cap over it, so who cares? But the rest of it was a piece of cake. Yeah, I'll show you anyway. So that's my toilet. Because I don't have a massive bathroom, I only have this fiberglass shower, which is actually practical. It's not the prettiest thing out there, but it's really watertight, which is an advantage. But the biggest issue was each side has a mounting bracket so that you can screw it to the floor. And I was really worried about drilling holes in the bottom of the shower enclosure, so I've gone totally over the top with some Sikaflex and put some under the bracket and dunked each screw into it, and I will keep an eye on that and see how that goes. Because the other option was, because it's my shower, you know, to raise the whole thing up a little bit on a wooden platform so the water can still get underneath it. But that toilet's already very tall, so I didn't really want to make it even higher. So I thought, well, what I can do is undo one of those. See that black thumb screw thing? I just thought I'd undo one of those and push a little piece of yoga mat or something like that, something soft under there to open up the gap a bit so my shower can drain. And I mean, I can clean the shower every time I empty the loo anyway. The whole loo needs to come out when I do that. So yeah, and I've put the little vent in here. I hope you can see that. It might be a bit dark, but it's in there through the shower wall, and I've put a fitting over that, and because there's not a lot of room, so I wanted it quite close to the wall. And yeah, so that was about it. From there it goes down into the cupboard next to it, which is where my drain for my sink and everything from the kitchen goes. So I just put it next to that, and the vent has a mesh screen over it so flies and things can't get in there. And yeah, vented it through the floor. I was going to run it up through there, but up there I've got a cupboard, so I would have had to go into the store cupboard and through that wall and then out another wall to the outside and vented up higher, and there that was making a lot of holes. Whereas at least with that one, water can't get in because it's under the truck. So that's got to be an advantage. I've got a real aversion to making holes in my roof. I really don't like it. I think it's from having spent some time sailing on sailing boats and leaks, you know, you just get quite anti them. So that's why I don't have any fans or air vents in the top. The holes I had to make for my solar panels to screw them down was plenty of holes, and even them, they have a half a ton of Sikaflex under them, which, you know, you do have to replace after a few years, but that's okay. So yeah, that's my new loo. I've been using it for a few days now. I really like it. It's easy, it's simple. So what happens if, you know, you haven't got one or have never seen one? You've got the two holes at the front there. That's where the urine goes. So apparently men have to sit down, or better off sitting down, to pee into those holes. That's not an issue for me. I sit down to pee anyway because I'm not a man, so no problems. And that goes from there into this container. And yeah, you empty that a bit more often. Every few days you can put it in a dump station or down a toilet, or dilute it and feed it to a tree if you're allowed to, wherever you are. But I think generally it'll probably end up going down a toilet. So this is a massive flappy thing where the number 2s go. So that's also pretty good. That's why I actually went that way, because the bucket toilets aren't sealed like that, and I thought that was an advantage. So yeah, And you just put some peat moss or some coconut, which nobody knows how to say that word. It's COIR, coir, I don't know. But anyway, it's coconut fibre or peat moss or something like that. And yeah, you have it slightly damp. The trick is to have it pretty dry. You don't want it soggy because then you're going to get smells. And you've got a windy handle there, but hard while holding the camera. And after you've been number twos, you just give the handle 3 turns and it mixes it all up and covers it up. In the vent there's a 12-volt fan, so that sucks any odours or smells, which there shouldn't be any, and also takes moisture away, so that's got to be a good thing. So anyway, it's been quite exciting. I haven't had it for very long yet, so I will do a more in-depth review when I've had a bit more experience with it. Something else I felt it was pretty interesting and I wanted to talk about in this video was, what's allowed where and how does it work. I had an interesting conversation. I went up to Waihi Beach and stayed at the motor caravan park there, and the custodian, who was really friendly, but he was going on about, people, how they stay the full amount of time allowed and that's not very good, and also that one guy did work on his truck and that was a problem, which I didn't realise. I've done work on my truck at NZMCA parks. I mean, I don't do noisy stuff or messy stuff or anything that's likely to impact anybody else, but I have actually painted this entire truck at an NZMCA park a few years ago, and I didn't leave a mess. You just drop sheets, no biggie, and it certainly wasn't noisy or offensive or anything like that. But I am a little bit curious about that whole attitude, and I've had that a few times. I had it once from an old man when I was just actually on my ladder painting the little gold trim around the edges of my truck, which is very unoffensive and quiet, and I quite enjoy it. But a man from a caravan came charging over and told me that this park was for recreation purposes only, and you shouldn't be doing work here. And I said, well, this is my recreation. I'm enjoying this. This is my way of relaxing, is just doing a little bit of painting. And I'm not doing anything offensive. I haven't got loud machinery here or anything like that. So I thought that was very strange, that attitude. It concerns me a little bit because originally road folk, motorhomers, whatever, most of them were in home-built vehicles that they'd either built themselves or somebody else had. They weren't mass-produced things of assembly line or some bought from somewhere, so most people actually fix things themselves too because they could, and it was easy because the materials used were not too bad. And anyway, so nowadays a lot of people are buying very complicated factory made motorhomes with pre-molded panels and stuff, and engines that are tremendously complicated that I wouldn't know what to do with either. But the whole attitude seems to have shifted into one that, you don't do things like that yourself, you get the man to do it. And I think that sort of takes away from what it was about. I mean, I liked it when people did do that, or if somebody had a problem, other people came over and helped, and if there was a way, they would sort it out and things like that. And I think this attitude that, if you want to be somewhere like at an NZMCA park, you're not allowed to do things to your vehicle. I totally agree that, I wouldn't get my angle grinder out at an NZMCA park. I'd go somewhere in the middle of nowhere and where I don't annoy anyone. But, quiet things that are, you're not leaving an oil slick on the ground or anything like that. I don't see the problem, and I think if everybody has to be um, in a vehicle that they don't maintain or fix themselves, I don't know. I just didn't think that's what it's all about. I can understand that older people don't want to be crawling around under their vehicles and stuff like that. That's fine. Some people don't, but I think to frown and judge people who do, um, yeah, I think that's an issue. Make a comment if you've got any ideas on that. But yeah, I've just noticed that lately the trend's definitely that people, yeah, frown on people who actually do things to their vehicle or their vehicle's a little bit different and things like that. I mean, I went over to the rubbish here this morning. There was a guy there in a car. I said good morning to him and he just wouldn't even answer just because I have a slightly different vehicle. I don't care because I've come across that so often that I don't know that person. I don't care what they think of me, but I think it's a little bit childish to go, well, I have a white one and you haven't got a white one, and therefore I'm going to judge you. Why? What on earth is that all about? All right. It just fascinates me, and I think it's a little bit sad that it seems to be going that way out there. I've always enjoyed the camaraderie of people helping each other and, giving each other a hand or having a go at doing things themselves. There was Kiwi ingenuity. Kiwis have always been awesome at that. I love that. I was born in Germany, and they tend to be somewhat perfectionists. And in New Zealand, people fix stuff. The number 8 wire thing. Yeah, bro, we can do that. I think that's so cool. I hate the fact that I'm seeing that disappearing and being lost. It was a really neat trait of Kiwis. So please, please, if you're Kiwis out there watching, keep doing that stuff, keep learning, keep doing things. Let's not lose that whole aspect of Kiwi culture. Yeah, if you're not from New Zealand and you're watching this, well, that is kind of was a Kiwi culture, was the number 8 wire trick where you can fix things with that. And yeah, Kiwis were well known for that. So it wasn't always the most perfect job, but you could actually get whatever it was going again until you had a chance to fix it a bit better later on. So yeah, give me your thoughts on that. It's something that I've just watched, and I'm not judging people who don't have a go and don't fix their own stuff. That's fine, but I am kind of having a go at the people who frown at people who do. I find that really bizarre. Why? If you've got any clues to that, please, yeah, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. So anyway, that's my video. I'm going to head off later on. I want to go a bit further towards nature rather than be here. I'm at the Nongataha NZMCA Park. I've got some people I want to catch up with, which is exciting, so I'm going to go. Yeah, and get out of this town lifestyle for a bit. So yeah, if you've got any questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos about this, or you want to make suggestions about what you'd like to know about, leave them below too, and I'll see you all in my next video.